Well, hey, entrepreneurs. Welcome back to my Read Along with Entrepreneurs series. This is a series where I share books that have had a real impact on my personal and professional growth. And together we explore kind of key ideas, practical lessons, and just ways that you can apply what you're learning to your own business and your own business journey. So I'm Gail Bates, and I help entrepreneurs build sustainable businesses from home through better planning, productivity, and taking that consistent action. And on this channel, you're going to find entrepreneur interviews, you'll find productivity strategies, book reviews like today, and real world conversations about what it actually takes to grow a business. I love my interviews that I have with all the entrepreneurs I've met around the world. So if that sounds helpful to you, be sure to subscribe and just click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now, as entrepreneurs, we're always learning, right? We're always growing. And for many of us, books become some of our best mentors. I know they do for me. That's why I created a free entrepreneurs, what I call TBR list, to be read list, featuring some of my favorite books in categories like productivity, business strategy, finance, relationships, health and wellness, and mindset. And a few of my favorite books in this list include The Productivity Project by Chris Bailey, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, my all-time favorite, The Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And I love The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. And of course, every entrepreneur needs to read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's an old, but it's the best book you'll find out there on growing and starting a successful business. Now, you can grab that free reading list using the link below in the description. Now, I have some other favorites from that list. One is called Get Rich Lucky Bitch by Denise Duffield Thomas, and How to Connect in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Boothman. He taught me so much in that book in growing a huge network and client base. And my all-time favorite, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, where, he talks about really having that morning that sets the rest of your day. Now, today, I want to talk about a book called Mindset by Carol S. Dweck, PhD. Of all the books I've read about personal growth, this one has had a really lasting impact on how I think about challenges, setbacks, and success. Carol Dweck introduces the concept of what we call the growth mindset. She shares with us that people with a growth mindset believe their abilities can be developed through learning, effort, practice, and persistence. That says it in a nutshell for entrepreneurs. So instead of avoiding challenges, people with a growth mindset embrace them. Instead of seeing failure as proof that they're not good enough, people with that mindset view failure as feedback. And instead of giving up when things get hard, and it happens to us a lot as entrepreneurs, people with a growth mindset continue learning and improving. Does this sound like you? As entrepreneurs, this is incredibly important because, let's be honest, business rarely goes exactly according to plan. There are setbacks, there are mistakes, there are launches that don't work, there are videos nobody watches and offers nobody buys. So a growth mindset helps us to see that these experiences are not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and improve. And one of the passages that really stood out to me is found on page 217 of the book, where Carol Dweck talks about how to grow a true growth mindset. And as always in this series, I love to read an excerpt from the book. And here's what she says on how do you get a true growth mindset. She says, you don't get a growth mindset by proclamation. You move toward it by taking a journey. As a growth mindset gained currency and became the correct way to think in some quarters, more and more people claim to have it. It sort of makes sense. Don't we all want to see ourselves as enlightened people who help children fulfill their potential? A noted educator told me that it had become politically incorrect for educators to even talk about and maybe even think about having a fixed mindset in any area. And a principal told me that he was recently giving some mild suggestion to a teacher when she looked at him indignantly and said, "Are you implying I have a fixed mindset?" Although For simplicity, I've talked as though some people have a growth mindset and some people have a fixed mindset. And in truth, we're all a mixture of the two. Wow. So how can we apply all of this to our business, right? First, you want to examine your beliefs. You want to take a minute to just think about areas where you might be holding a fixed mindset. Are there skills that you convince yourself that you'll never be good at, like maybe marketing or technology or public speaking? What would happen if you simply added the word yet? I'm not good at public speaking yet. That small shift can really completely change your perspective. Second, we want to focus on progress. Instead of measuring success only by results, pay attention to effort and improvement. Growth happens in small steps, one step at a time. So celebrate progress along the way you're making those steps. And number 3, learn from those setbacks. When something doesn't work, you want to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because every challenge contains information that can really help you improve your next attempt. And number 4, praise effort, not talent. This is one of my favorite lessons from the book. When you acknowledge your own growth or someone else's growth, you're focusing on effort, persistence, learning, and progress. And those are the things that really create long-term success. And number 5, which is my favorite, surround yourself with growth-minded people. So the people around us influence how we think, right? And that's one of the reasons I created the Entrepreneurs Collab Circle. It's a supportive community for women entrepreneurs over 40 who are seeking more focus, more consistency, more accountability, and that meaningful collaboration. When you're surrounded by people who encourage growth and learning, it's so easy to just keep moving forward, even when business feels challenging. So I want you to check the link below and join our circle. It's called the Entrepreneurs Collab Circle. Now, before we wrap up, I want to share with you my reading routine that might be helpful for you, because every day I read at least 10 pages of a business book. Doesn't take long, but proves that I am learning every day. I also keep a notebook beside me while I read, because on that notebook, I'm writing down and capturing ideas and quotes and lessons and page numbers so I can revisit them later. Eventually, I transfer those notes into a digital document, and then that document becomes such a valuable resource for future content, coaching, and business ideas. In fact, that's why I'm doing this video about this book. All the notes from there is what I've been sharing with you today. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a reading routine? And what one book has had a major impact on your business or mindset? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to download my free 5 categories business books for entrepreneurs. Thanks for reading along with me, and I'll see you on the next video.